Hi, this is a short video on cluster sampling using Excel. Okay, suppose that you want a sample of all the students taking 385, right? And there are two sections of that. Now, in order to get a probability sample for that population, you need a sampling frame, like the one I'm showing you, right? You would need a list of all the students so that you can use either this function or any other function to get randomly some students from that population. But suppose you don't observe that, right? You don't have that, and the instructor is not willing to give you that. But suppose you know that there are 15 study groups within the two between the two sections, right? So in section 1 you have 6 study groups, and in section 2 you have 9 study groups, and you don't observe this. You know that the students are in those study groups, right? The 60 students are in those groups, but you don't have a list of the students. You do have a list of groups. The students are clustered in those groups, so you're going to get a random sample of these clusters and then survey all the students in those clusters that were randomly picked, right? So you can do this with the random generator from Excel, right? That ran between function. And let's suppose that we're going to randomly select 4 clusters, right, from the 15. So let's write rand between number 1 and number 15, right? Give you a random number between those two, and let's see what happens. Okay, so number 14 is selected. Okay, that cluster is in. Number 3 is selected. That cluster is in. Number 11 is selected, and number 13 is selected. That's it. We don't need to do anything else. Now, that is our random sample of clusters, right? We have 4 of them. Now we would go and survey all the students in those clusters. Let's see what that looks like. So in cluster number 3, we would go and survey these students. Then in cluster number 11, we would survey these students. In cluster number 13, in cluster number 14, we would survey these students. Those are the ones in 13, and these are the ones in 14, right? So if we look at the students that we are going to survey in the end, those are all the students that we end up sampling, right? We didn't observe the students per se, we just observed their study groups. We randomized the sample by the study group, and then surveyed everyone within a study group. We ended up with a sample of 16 students, right? So that is how you would do cluster sampling with Excel.